What up YouTube, BonzEye here, back with another review, and today I've got for you guys my review of Arcane Season 2, Arc 1, Episodes 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, firstly, let me just catch you guys off on where I am as a fan of this show. So whilst I'm not someone that plays League of Legends itself, I was an original fan of Dota when it was still a mod for Warcraft, and I do play Mobile Legends a lot these days. So yeah, I am sort of in the wheelhouse of someone who is a target audience for this show. And that said, I also did really enjoy Season 1. Not necessarily one of my favorite shows of all times, but I did really enjoy it a lot. And I think the art style and everything from the first show, as well as the character work and the storyline and everything, was really good. And so I'm really looking forward on how Season 2 will start off, especially given that cliffhanger. So how I'm going to do this review is first I'll talk about some things in general that I like about the show, and then I'll go into specifics about characters and the plot around those characters. So firstly, some general things. I think the art style, the animation of the show is top-notch. It's always been good since Season 1, and I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that they did with the cinematics in the show. I think whoever does the animation and things is definitely earning their money's worth with this show. I think it really shows you the depths of what animation is capable of doing. There's a lot of amazing things that they did in the show that you can't really do with live action or even just a normal cartoon type drawing. I think this show, the way they mixed it all together, is just fascinating. And also I think Linkin Park too, the music in general of the show is good, but I wanted to give a shout out to Linkin Park. I wouldn't say Heavy as the Crown is one of my favorite songs that gaming songs that they did, but it's definitely out there. But still, the Season 1 theme song is definitely one of my favorites of all times, I'd say, as far as a theme song for a show is concerned. So yeah, all in all, the acting and everything else was all good. So with that, let's get right into the characters and the plot, which is the things that I personally am more interested in shows like this. So we'll start off with the two characters that I enjoy the most. That would be Jace and Victor. So yeah, no surprise that Jace survived the explosion from the end of Season 1. But one thing that I'm surprised I didn't think of was the fact that Victor might also get damaged by that. I'm not sure if it actually showed him getting hurt in the end of Season 1. But I really like how that led to him being fed into the hex core and us really getting to see what truly, because I was kind of genuinely interested in what would happen if someone fused with that hex core and what would happen. So I was really happy to see how that was explored during the show. And it ended up being something that I was very pleasantly surprised by, right? The whole thing where he seems to gain this new perspective on things, and he's sort of cold and distant, almost like he can see and know things now that weren't clear to him before. And then he says that whole line about fashion kept us together, but we didn't learn it a long time ago, which is cold but kind of true if you really think about it. Then he sort of goes on his own way and he winds up healing that guy and gaining this powers or whatever he had the powers at that time. But yeah, that's definitely a storyline that I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes in the end. As far as Jace is concerned, one thing that I've always enjoyed about Jace is that he's a very pragmatic character. He's not so hard in one direction or another. He doesn't want to see his weapons being used, his technology being used as weapons. But then when shit really hit the fan, he sort of we didn't even need to see him being convinced, right? He seemed to sort of volunteer his weapons all the way to caping them, to using their experts. And so yeah, I generally speaking like Jace the most. He's the character that I think I relate to the most, I guess. And so yeah, Jace definitely up there as one of my favorite characters. I don't know if he is my favorite, but he's up. And another thing that I also enjoyed, that also really enjoyed Jace, was the whole storyline between Echo and Heimdingger. So I actually wasn't that fascinated by the storyline where the tree was being poisoned or whatever. That's my second favorite storyline, other than the stuff involving Victor and Jace. But the stuff with the tree and everything wasn't one of my favorites originally, but I loved how, as it went on, you started to learn more about the magic and how it works in this world, which is always more interesting to learn about for someone like me who's sort of really into this stuff. And so I like how they put the difference between how normal runes work and how wild runes work. They sort of describe it as the difference between spoken words and primal grunts. Both can communicate a message to someone else, but one is more primal. And so that's how they explain how wild runes are. And I also like the fact that wild runes seem to take on an almost biological nature to them, right? For me as a STEM guy, when I think of how nature expresses itself, outside of magic, I think more in terms of numbers and geometry. But I like the fact that when it comes to magic, which is a little bit more complicated than just raw physics, I like that it takes on the form of biology as opposed to just heart-shaped triangles and stuff, which is what I would think of. I mean, that's just a weird thought on my part. But long story short, I really enjoyed the manifestation of wild wounds or magic in the form of like this connective tissue sort of thing. Well, that's how I saw it as, you know. And definitely that scene at the end where, you know, Jace activates the thing and it goes all crazy and all that stuff keeps happening. Definitely one of my favorite scenes too. So yeah, that wound up being my second favorite plot point. Another plot point which is actually pretty close, tying for I'd probably even say it ties with that plot point for my favorite sort of storyline going on in the show, is the whole stuff involving Mel's mother specifically and Mel herself. But most of the mother, right? I'm kind of curious about where their family comes from, what the storyline is there. Again, I'm not someone who knows the lore at all from the original game or anything like that. I haven't, you know, usually I look up lore and read books and wikis after I become fascinated with something, but I didn't for this show. And I'm glad I didn't, because it means that there's a lot of mystery for me to discover. And so the things that I'm fascinated by is like, is the brother really dead? What is the Black Rose? Why is they after Mel's mom? What the hell is going on? So that's definitely like, there's more mysteries there that intrigue me. And so I'm quite fascinated with it. One thing I will call out though is that I did sort of see it coming, that Mel's mother was actually like orchestrating all of this from behind, and they were responsible for that attack in the first episode. Like, because the minute the axe struck one of those guys and he died, and they all like, it happened so suddenly, something within me was like, this is awfully convenient and it's happening too sudden at the last minute. Seems like a setup. And sure enough, I was right when we found out about it at the end of episode 2. So yeah, definitely enjoying how that storyline is going and how it's evolving. I'm looking forward to see what happens next in it. You know, wondering what's happening to Mel and wondering who these Black Rose people are. So moving on from that, Caitlyn's rise to power seemed a bit too sudden for me. That's one thing that I'll say. Even though I kind of saw it coming when it actually, like, because the way the mother was talking and positioning, you know, they sort of gave I forgot the term, it's red herring for that guy in the wheelchair with the weak legs and stuff. But then when I was thinking about it, I was like, man, if I was in that situation, would I really want him as my leader, or would I want someone who's like, oh, you know, buff, putting themselves out there? And, you know, in season 1, it was sort of Jace being put in that situation, but I like now that they went with Caitlyn, and it makes sense to me, right? She sort of showed herself up when she was questioned, I think, in season 2, and showed that she's going down there to get shit done. And that was nice. It showed assertiveness on her character. And so it made sense that her character would wind up in a leadership position. I just think it happened a bit too abruptly for me. And I also, for whatever reason, I can't say I enjoyed the romantic scenes between Caitlyn and Vi. They kind of dragged on for me. Okay, so before some of you stands got on my ass for this, I should probably just clarify that in general, I'm not someone that enjoys watching romantic scenes in anything that I'm watching. But I guess I just felt that in this particular case, their scenes lingered a bit longer than I would have liked. So that's why I'm just sort of mentioning it as an annoyance for me. So other than that, as for Vi herself, right, I like the thing that, you know, her Caitlyn getting to the forming that commando squad, going down the punches. I think it was cool the way they used the gas. That was a nice tidbit of lore that Caitlyn's family is responsible for the air ducts or whatever, and how that got incorporated into their plan to go down. I thought that was really cool, very smart. And yeah, I was like, yeah. And I don't know who that guy with the shield is. Seemed pretty cool, but we didn't really learn much about him. And I like the other two enforcers that joined them too, but also we didn't learn much about them. But it was nice to see them. I hope they get more credit about it. And moving on from that, when you go into like Jinx herself now, all in all, I enjoyed Jinx's storyline. You know, she's always fun, right? I can't say any negatives about her. She did sort of, I think at the end, the last scene where she sort of turns the table on her sister and like gets them to like calm down to her level and fight in that place, and then, you know, sort of set a trap for them. That was like fun. That was a nice Jinx plot or whatever. And yeah, I mean, whenever she shows up, it's always fun. I don't know. Oh, and I should probably mention that 2 of my favorite scenes actually involve Jinx. So the first one being the send-off for Silco, which I found quite sweet, as well as her walking through the city during the gang wars and the city sort of going wild behind her. And it's also a good showcase of the advantages of using animation to tell a story like this, because you're able to do some really crazy shit, which really shows the internal workings of Jinx, whilst at the same time also highlighting the chaos that's going on in the world around her. And yeah, I mean, whenever she shows up, it's always fun. I don't know. I guess the character just doesn't click to me as much as I think it should. I am enjoying her character, but I feel like I should be enjoying her more, but I don't know why I'm not enjoying her more. So that's why I'll leave it. I'm sort of unsure about that aspect. And yeah, I think that covers all of the main character plot storyline beats that stood out to me in this show. I'm looking forward to seeing what that scientist guy was doing at the end. I think he's the one that made the shimmer originally. I don't know what's going on with that storyline. I don't know what character he's building. I'm sure that's something from the games, but I don't know anything about that. But I'm interested in it. All in all, I think the show is progressing in a good pace. I think it started slow for me. There were a lot more like slow scenes, romantic scenes in episode 1, which is why I didn't enjoy it as much. But as the storyline started to kick in and I started to learn more, seeing how the wild rooms work and how that brought in Echo and having there, and then later on learning about Mel's mom and the whole politics that's going on there. So all in all, as the show progressed, I started to enjoy it more and more, and I like where it ended up. So overall, I give this arc 1 out of 10 a 7, which for me is good, right? Solid 7. It started off kind of slow and didn't enjoy it as much, but as the storyline goes on, it topped up with a lot more plot points that I enjoyed more and made me like the show a lot more than when it started. So that's why it sort of went from like a 6.5 back up to a 7. So yeah, all in all, that's how I found the show. And yeah, let me know if you guys agree or disagree, or maybe you can answer some of the questions about why I'm not vibing as much with V and Jinx and Caitlyn's storyline, right? For whatever reason, that's not clicking with me. Is it really just me, or are the rest of you enjoying it? Yeah, it really is just me. But whatever the case, comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. I will definitely be doing reviews of Arc 2 and Arc 3 for the rest of the series. So if you're looking forward to that, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. With that, this is BonzEye signing out. Catch you all later.